What are you doing today, Dean? Well, I'm glad you asked. Same thing I do every day, way too much, all at the same time. So, digging out clay to build a pond. I need the clay to build a barn. I need the barn to put the solar panels on. Cleaning up poplar and noxious weeds. Burning it out to create the best soil you could possibly imagine. Sifting through the last remainder of the sticks and burning that. I'll tell you all about it. Stay tuned. So when working with nature, you kind of do 2, 3, 4, 8 jobs at the same time. So this land, when we first got it, was flooded out. Where I'm standing was 2 or 3 or even 4 feet of water. In this area was some old dead poplar trees standing and falling over and then flooding. And then when it got back to normal and even drought, no more water in here. So all that was left was deadfall, rotten poplar trees, just a mess of everything. And everywhere where there was water, a noxious weed called the foxtail showed up. So you can't clean up the foxtails because all the poplar's in the way. So what a mess. So I had to clean it up anyways. If I had bigger balls, I would have just lit the whole thing on fire, but I respect fire, so I did pile it up with the skid steer, all the deadfall and the foxtails and things in a big pile. I burned that out. I since sifted it all out after it was burnt, and anything that wasn't burned I'm doing right now. So out of cleaning up this area, a noxious weed and all that rotten poplar. Now, if you think, well, you should use that poplar for home heating. Well, it's like rotten, falling apart, like pieces of poplar. It is terrible, and it's all dirty, right? So it's just a mess. There's big pieces, little pieces, covered in dirt, some rocks in there, and all rotten. Just to get a fire started, you have to use diesel fuel and sometimes a little bit of gas if you need a little extra, and spray it on there. But now it's finally going, so hopefully this pile goes, but I started it in a few different spots. But it's terrible, this rotten poplar stuff. So I turned it into, I sifted it out with my skeleton bucket on my skid steer after I burnt it. It turned into a massive mound of pure, black, awesome, mineral-rich earth that I'm super excited to put on my growing areas everywhere. So in there is like burnt-out wood. This is mimicking the aftermath of a forest fire, essentially. So like fire is a cleanser. It is a good thing. It's a natural thing to go through an old forest, clean it all out, turns it all into mineral-rich organic material that falls on the ground, and that allows new growth to grow back bigger and stronger, and it's just a natural cycle of things. So, but I have like a 3/4 to 1 acre area that's going to be my pond. That was the low spot where this problem was. So cleaning it up with machinery and trucks and things. But yeah, one thing that would be really great, all of my pasture. So I guess another good thing about this is all of those foxtail and thistles that were in here. So after the water recedes, foxtails. Fire cleansed all the foxtail seeds as well, right? So this has no weed seeds in it because it's all burnt out. Now I have to check how nutrient dense this is. So if I just put this thick and was trying to grow root crops, I might get scabs, like it's just so nutrient dense. But I'm going to put it on the top of my growing areas, orchards and fields type of thing. So super excited for that. But to talk about fire as a cleanser, my pasture grass is natural grassland, but it's old. I haven't really had animals on this one for, well, a long time. But there's thistles in there and other things. So if I had the balls and my, neighbors are far away, but they're still, neighboring land off of all my land. But if I had thousands of acres, I wouldn't hesitate. I'd get out a propane torch and some diesel or something, and I'd light that whole thing on fire. And it would just naturally cleanse the grass, all the weed seeds, everything, and that would be the best natural fertilizer, cleansing, the best thing you could do for pastures for grazing animals on in the future. So I think the Native Americans used to do that. I watched a couple TED Talks and things. Farmers used to do that, but when you don't have huge, vast amounts of land, you have to worry about fire hazards. But in this area, so the other thing that I did, I guess first, there's so many things you're doing all at once, right? But for solar panels, the ground mounting system is really, really expensive. And I didn't want to waste a whole bunch of south facing. So how my mind works is I'm thinking about building a barn anyways. So if I get trusses that are the exact same as the solar panel fixed angle, then I build a barn, and then I don't have to pay ground mounting, and I can put the solar panels on the barn. But anyways, way out back where the barn is going, I needed clay. Now this is just pure clay, like road building quality, really good stuff. So if you've ever built anything, this is the stuff you want. So to get clay, here I'm cleaning up the foxtails and deadfall and getting soil out of it and cleansing and fixing this land. So piled up the soil, kind of scalped off the top down to clay. Then I needed clay, so I'm digging a pond. So back here is my pond. This is where I got the clay from. So out of this whole thing, I got a pond. I've got clay to build my farm infrastructure buildings and roads and build up areas that need to be built up. I cleaned up and got rid of noxious weeds and all the dead crappy poplar. I've got super mineral rich soil to put on my grow beds, and I'm going to have a awesome pond. So if anybody complains, or any nature people, that you shouldn't be burning wood is bad for the environment or something, or you shouldn't be using a machine to do that, you're going to poop your little pantses in a few years, maybe 5 years or something, when I have all this set up. And from my interaction with the land, like maybe in 100 years, 200 years, 500 years, all the buildings are gone. But me cleaning up this, digging a pond, adding this soil to like orchards and perennial crops and things and grow area, this place is going to be just a man-made, man helping nature. I'm helping nature, right? I made everything better through my efforts. And that's how it's supposed to be. So the pond, the plan is to eventually dig it big enough. Now, I'm going to have way more clay than I need. So I've already got sources of people that need that for road construction and construction in general, and I'm close. So I haven't decided. I might give it away for free for a bit, but actually this road building stuff I can get like $5 a yard if they come load it or something, for my location to the economy, right? But I'm going to have a pond big enough to make its own ecosystem. So you just need a big enough hole, deep enough, wide enough, that it makes its own ecosystem. So when I put fish in there, brook or rainbow trout, they have enough food. It's a natural system. If you do a little pond, it's going to overheat in the summertime and freeze solid and deoxygenate in the wintertime. So just having the thermal mass of the large body of water equalizes, creates food for the fish, and it makes its own ecosystem. So I'm essentially doing a lake, right? Now, along the side of the pond, I left some poplars, that a lot of which are dead and just old pieces of crap. I don't even like burning them because they don't give off very much heat. Lots of ash. Terrible tree. But anyways, around my pond, any rocks that I picked out of here as well, the odd boulder like sifting through the clay, I also put around the edges of my pond to define the edges, and that's called riprap. So when the body of water is big enough and there's little waves and stuff from the wind, the rocks prevent erosion. On top of the rocks around the bank is some of this organic material that I burnt out around there. And then I put drip lines, and around there I've planted hundreds and hundreds of golden willow trees. So getting rid of the crappy poplars. Golden willows are native to Saskatchewan, native to my property, but they weren't on here. I introduced them, and they're an awesome tree. They like the water, put them close to the water. So it's awesome. And the willows close to the bank also holds the bank together too. So, but yeah, fun. See that it burnt out this one little part that I started here already. Like with diesel fuel and it's nice dried stuff, you can barely get the damn stuff going. Poplar. Ooh, nice and warm. But yeah, so I guess that's a version of permaculture. So it's man interacting with nature to make nature significantly better in multiple different ways at the same time, and everything works together. So, yeah. Now, I'm going to build shelter like this. I built up the area where the barn goes. That's shelter for animals so that they have a better life in the wintertime, and I can actually raise goats and things. I have better soil that's going to create better food, whether that's our apple trees, going to create better apples, or our annual crop areas, that's going to create better food, mineral rich, super rich soil, right? And a pond so I can have my fishies. So I get meat protein as well. Now when you dig a pond as well, like the drought that we've had, that brings in the wildlife. So it was literally so bad, the drought, the bees and wasps and dragonflies were hovering around my tiny little pond before I started digging this out, like I had it partially dug out. There's deer tracks all around there because there was no standing water most of this whole year except for the pond that I dug out. So there was a herd of deer in the morning and a herd of deer in the evening. Tons of wildlife. Once the pond's big enough, I'm going to have waterfowl, geese, ducks, all sorts of things. It just makes nature better, right? So, but anyways, I'll get back to burning my pile of sticks, and yeah, this is what I'm doing today. Sifting and burning and cleaning up because it's a nice day outside, and make hay while the sun shines, as they say. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you next time. Dirty, rotten poplars. I forgot the marshmallows again.